She's not what you'd expect. She's tough and feisty, but gentle and tender. She makes millions and gives millions to the poor. She cries, she laughs, she teaches, she comforts. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Hi, welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. My name is Casey, and if you've been watching the show, we've been going over the different personality types and how they work in the office. So today we're going to be focusing on the pearls. Pearls are motivated by acts of service and helping others. So enjoy.
My name is Butch McCracken, and I am the general manager here at DaniJohnson.com. I kind of look at my role as someone that helps a team collectively and serves a team by coming up with different solutions, by problem solving, and just really interacting closely with them.
I'm Becky Diacetis, and I work in marketing on the follow-ups and helping with the strategy and the campaigns.
My name is Trisha, and I am our copywriter, so I write the content for the Dani Johnson Show. I write emails, I write copy for sales pages, and just any other copy needs that we have.
Hey, I didn't answer your question. So as far as
It's cool.
Just keep going.
yeah. Recording this thing anyway, man.
We'll just cut it out, babe.
You got a problem with me?
I'm not cutting this out.
It's all going in.
This is all staying in.
This will be our last show.
He just wants to be in the show.
My name's Tammy Price. I do leadership development, and what that is I help people to spread the message of what this training does for people, from getting out of debt to being able to restore relationships to growing business. I help people who are looking for bringing their friends, their family, their colleagues, their people that they want to see be impacted in their lives to make a difference for other people. I get attacked by a stinker. We have a lot of fun here.
So, Trisha, talk to me as if I'm Brian.
Okay.
As if I'm Dani. As if I'm Diane.
Only if you talk in her voice. Can you mimic Diane? Let me hear you say crap.
Are you talking to me?
No, we're talking about you.
Oh, okay.
And I am just asking you, we're having a conversation, I'm asking you how best to communicate with you as we work together. So, what do you like to receive when you've done something well? What is something you like to be given back in response after you've accomplished a task or achieved something well?
So some of the things that really motivate me are words of affirmation, because me personally, I have a tendency to beat myself up and to want to just always find the negative in what I've done wrong or my potential. So when I get back at something positive about an email or an action that was taking place, I've really made it a point to stop and digest it so that it can sink in, because I realize that that's what motivates me, is when I hear something positive. I came from an industry where it was brutal. It was just hardcore individuals, no nonsense, bottom line type people. So a lot of the motivation was out of fear, which for me, fear it'll motivate me to get done, but fear is not a place that I like to work in because of the stress it puts on myself. I feel much better when I've done something for the other individual, not so much out of fear, but out of, how would you say it? I produce it because I know it makes them happy, or I know it brings them satisfaction. Believe me, I do my fair share of falling short in those areas, but so I think it would be words of affirmation. Good job, something along those lines. That's very encouraging.
When I finish something, I really thrive on hearing good job, well done, and just knowing that I met or exceeded the expectations?
I like verbal. I like a lot of verbal communication. Notes mean the world to me. Like, it means a lot to me to come in and see a note. I remember when I first started and I was on the phone on a call and someone came running out and left a really positive note while I was in the middle of the conversation saying, keep going, share stories. And it just meant a lot to me to have that encouragement and action.
Words of affirmation are huge for me, so, and especially when it's specific to what I've done, not just, it's always good to hear you did a great job, but like pointing out details about what went well, so then I know, right, because then I can keep doing it.
How should I address issues or when things are done incorrectly? What would you say is the best approach for you, for me to address a task that's been incorrectly done or something like that?
So the best thing for me in my career, what I've always said is just call it like it is, right? I know that I have a tendency to be not as, I don't know how you say it, overbearing or I can't think of the word, but one of the things that benefits me is no sugarcoating. I look at it as I'm paid to do a job, so if I'm messing up, talk to me about it. You don't need to worry about my feelings, in the sense that you have to change up what you're bringing to my attention, right? Just call it like it is. I can take it, and it's up to me to disseminate it and to fix it. But I do want to know about issues as they're going on so that I can be aware of them to work on them. So basically, call it like it is. Tell me what's wrong.
When I've done something incorrectly, it's really much easier for me to be able to improve next time if first I hear what I did right and then hear ways that I can improve it, as opposed to specifically pointing out this was wrong. Instead, phrase it in a way of, could we do this better next time?
There's a good chance that I already know and I already feel really bad about it. But if I don't know, I will feel really bad about it. I don't like making mistakes. I don't like letting people down. So doing it in a way that is like not angry or disappointed, but just pointing it out. Hey, we kind of missed some things here. Here's what we can do better for next time.
So for me, Dani talks about something called a sandwich, and it really, really works for me. Rather than saying, you messed up, you did this, here's what you did wrong, it's kind of like, okay, talk about something positive that's going on, but then bring up the negative thing in between and end it on a positive note. And that's called a sandwich or an Oreo, I can't remember what she calls it, but I really like that because it addresses the situation, but then it leaves it on a positive note.
2012.
Still getting the point across.
I hear you. Okay.
How can I show you that I appreciate you, support you, and want what's best for you?
I'm a very verbal person, and so the appreciation and support really all come verbally for me. Just those little atta girls, good jobs, that was great, we did this well. Those mean so much to me and just speak volumes.
I think just like having the conversation, like just checking in, hey, how's it going? What's working, what's not working? Like taking that time to listen and figure out what's going on.
$1 million. No, I'm just kidding. No. Just, sorry, that was my inner Ruby. So for me, it's like just words of affirmation. A card, like I still have all the cards that anyone has ever sent to me in like a huge bag at home. So like at one point I had them all over here, and I got told like people were like, we can feel your pearlness. So like cards mean the world to me. Just words of affirmation. Quality time, like all those different things tell me that I'm valued, I'm appreciated.
The best way for me is coming back to those positive reinforcements. There's times I get to be an emotional guy. I've realized in my 52 years to stop fighting it, right? I think it's very important, especially for men, to be emotional. It is not a sign of weakness, to me anyway, right? We have them, why are we denying them? type of thing, unless we are robots. So in trying to pay attention to what provokes things in me, it's definitely a good job. You know, I always tease my wife when we're at home and I might do something that I think is good. I beat her to the point and I'll say, good job, Butch, you know, type thing. So I'll beat her to that. But, you know, there's something to be said to hear those things, but then also to receive them. I think that's critical because we have a tendency to glaze over them and just be like, oh, thank you, and then immediately offer something back in response when that's not the time. That's that person's moment to give you accolades, a positive reinforcement, whatever it may be. Don't take that from them by thinking that now I have to reciprocate type of thing. So receive it, and they're going out of their way to say it. So again, words of affirmation, a positive email, a text, whatever that looks like, would do that.
What is the best way for us to work through communication issues? What would you say is the best approach?
Just talking about it. And talking about it in a way that is like a two-way conversation. I want to know from you what you need from me, and you taking the time to listen to me too.
For me, and maybe this is where I'm a little different, like I don't like sugar-coating it, like tell me exactly what's going on, but be tactful in your word choices. Don't be attacking, if that makes sense. Like don't point a finger, but instead bring yourself into it. Hey, what can we do to improve this together? Here's where I'm noticing an area for growth or opportunity to be able to do something better.
To be clear in what you're looking for from me, and at any point you sense that there's no clarity, to immediately call it out. Because I could, I also have a tendency to love details, and I might go down a rabbit hole a little too much for an individual. So if you see that, comes back to the other thing, call me on it, right? Just say, hey, time out. I think we went too far here or too far there, or you need more detail. Just kind of really be explicit in what you're looking from me in those communications. And when it's not being delivered, tell me it's not being delivered. That would really help.
For me, over-communicating is really better as long as everything's clear. And verbal is great, but also written just so that I can go back and reference it. And having those lines of communication open, so if I'm not certain about something, that I can just say, hey, can you clarify this for me? And so being available to make those clarifications is really helpful for me.
Would you say that helps build trust between you and who you're working for?
Absolutely. The trust is a huge thing, knowing that I can ask questions without feeling like I am stumbling on something or without feeling like I'm stepping in it just because I'm asking. Is really the way that I feel like that trust is going back and forth. And if I've gotten it wrong, clarifying what those pieces are for communication that need to be better.
How should I motivate you towards goals?
I know a huge motivation for me is just like for example, our goal is to impact 100 million lives by 2035. And so like for me, seeing just like how many orphans are being fed because people are pressing play on something like a YouTube or like the podcast or anything that Dani's putting out there, which is impacting lives as well. Just being able to see the change and see the results, hear about the results.
It's definitely the encouragement along the way, right? Because I believe that we as humans always have a tendency to look at the negative and always have a tendency in scenarios to go down the negative road, I call it, versus there could be a positive outcome, but we never default to that. It's always a negative. So definitely affirming and definitely acknowledging along the way. Good job, Butch. To quote what I tell my wife anyway. So little things that seem silly, but yeah.
I am really motivated by the bigger picture, whether it's encouraging the entire team or knowing that we are having a bigger impact, that it's not just about hitting the numbers. Hitting the numbers is great and exciting and fun, but small wins to me are just important as big wins. And knowing that we're all moving forward and everybody is a part of it is very motivating for me.
I work really well in a positive work environment, so everybody's like really excited about what we're doing and working toward a goal and all kind of bought in, and ideas are like flowing. That's when I work best.
What characteristics do you look for in a workplace, either amongst the coworkers or in like the physical environment?
Amongst the coworkers, it's really about knowing that we're in it together, that we are encouraging each other, that there's a positive atmosphere, the atmosphere being encouraging, and that we're looking for results and solutions is so crucial for me, as opposed to always focusing on what we did wrong or the negatives or what's falling short, what didn't work. If we can turn it around and say, let's try this to see if it works, let's try this better next time, is really part of what I'm looking for and what inspires me to help inspire others.
I suppose ethics would be the big one for me, because ethics build trust, and when there's no trust, you always got to look over your shoulder, not for people coming for you, but always second guess what someone's doing. It just breaks down more than just the words that are spoken or that particular thing. It just spiders through everything. So if there's trust involved, and if there is ethics, being honorable to one another, that's huge. That's a big one.
A supportive environment, definitely, and a community that is all working toward the same thing, that all has like the same values and the same like purpose.
Definitely, there's like a definite culture. There's trust, there's honor, there is I don't know if I'm gonna use this right, like longevity, like there is striving for the best, like pulling the best out of each other, encouragement, support, cheering each other on, allowing people to be vulnerable, but allowing other people's strengths where you're weak and vice versa, because like Diane is my complete opposite, and we play off each other so well. She's strong where I struggle, and vice versa. So just being able to really play off of each other in a supporting way and encourage each other that just because you're weak in an area doesn't mean you have to stay weak, but definitely operating in your strengths.
Last but certainly not least, what shuts you down when working with others? What ticks you off?
What ticks me off would mostly be a direct tearing down of others. Not taking into account other individuals, and no matter what they've done, that they're still human. And address issues, but I think you can address issues in an honorable way, where you never get personal about that, and you never take it personal, but you stay focused on the issue. So don't get into tearing someone down, don't get into retaliation, don't get into any of that kind of stuff. Just stick to the facts.
I don't work well under pressure for extended periods of time. So I can do like a short sprint, but if it's pressure all the time, I will like just shut down and I can't be creative in that type of work environment, and I don't do my best work. I always feel like I'm doing something wrong. And like negativity and visible disappointment makes like I just want to kind of like curl into a ball and not talk to anybody.
So you would say short tasks with, so like small deadlines.
Yes.
Short with amongst short tasks, but not like a massive project over a span of a really long time that needs lots of pressure to get done.
I think that big projects that are broken into smaller tasks are great. But like just always having this needs to be turned around immediately all the time, that stresses me out.
What shuts me down is negativity. A negative environment or only pointing out the negatives. I just find that I have to focus on being able to move forward and move past it. As for, what was the other part of the question?
Well, just what ticks you off in
what
the
ticks me off,
environment
yeah.
or with amongst people?
Yeah. What ticks me off really is when the goal of the team kind of isn't taken into consideration. Actually, really, when the hard work of the team isn't taken into consideration. When people have put their blood, sweat, and tears into a project or on the line, and that work is thrown out the window, whether it's mine or someone else's. It's about the team, and so for it to just be thrown out the window without consideration just really infuriates me more than anything in the work environment.
Conflict. I hate conflict. When I think it's so naturally in sales, there's a natural push for competitiveness, and I think that there's a point where that competitiveness can be really combative and not good, and that's what shuts me down. So like any of the comparing yourself to other people versus comparing yourself to the best you can do where you're at.
All right, that's all I got. Those are all my questions.
I kind of felt I was all over the board, but
No, it's good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So similar.
Really?
Oh my gosh. Not like exactly the same. Oh, what? Listen, you don't have my permission to be filming me right now.
But I have a lot of emerald.
That's true too. We're our emerald vibes.
Yes.
Yes.
Pro power.
Have a good one. Okay. Bye-bye.
Pro power.
No.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about.
Oh.
You said right before all of that.
Oh, okay. So like when
How does it shut you down?
So when people start fighting over, well, that person was mine, or I did this with so-and-so, for me, it's like, okay, everybody's got to be on the same page, because it's all about making sure that that person who's being serviced is getting the best level of service.
So
and
that's
it's
the
not,
counting.
to me, if you're looking at it just as a sales number or a commission check, that's not benefiting the client. And like, to me, what benefits the client is knowing that they have a whole staff who is fighting for their success versus one person going, that's my commission check. You know what I mean? And that's where a lot of people miss the boat.
I thought it was just like, I don't know, something that you said. I want to rewatch it on that. It was just interesting hearing you that you shut down.
Jackie was free on the phone. Dani Johnson.
Oh, gosh, I have to hear it from there again, because I don't think it was the same thing that you're explaining to me, or what I heard about something about you that maybe you weren't aware of.
Because I referenced conflict, when there's conflict or competition and you're comparing yourself to other people.
Yeah.
She prefers being compared to her.
Like
No, I heard that,
last,
and that's what I really appreciated, and I think more of along the lines I identified with as well. I thought that was neat, because I'm not thought of in that manner, maybe. I don't know.
Like how you're perceived?
Well, you know, like when people start going back and forth, like, I did this much, and I just start shutting down. I'm like, okay, I did not do that much.
But is it a
Anyway.
shutdown because you didn't do what the other, like, oh, the other person had
It's
24?
probably different for me in that aspect, yeah. Where I
Because, like, for me, I'm going, okay, it doesn't matter. You, like, everyone collectively did XYZ, and that's the team
Right.
atmosphere. And it's like, if you stop looking at what an individual does and start looking at what the whole is, you know, because like one person is not going to impact 100 million lives. That's where we encourage and we invite people who are on the journey with us together, the people who come to the events, the people who are, you know, sharing, giving the book out, the people who are inviting their friends and their family to check out the iPod and the, you know, the YouTube, and even just whether
being
they
useful where their strengths are in a nutshell.
Right.
Sure.
Right, like I think it helps to know where your strengths are, but I also think it helps to say, okay, I'm weak in this area. Who do I know that's strong in this area that I can learn from, so that it stops being a crutch for me to say, oh, that's a weakness. You know what I mean?
I was thinking of something else completely different from what you were thinking of, and anyway, I thought, well, do I have bits of pro in me? I don't know. I do.
Have you really
But
looked into it? Like, have you?
anyway,
Well, it's kind of like what she says. We have all the gems in us, and it's just, okay, what are we? What does our heart really connect with? What does our mind really connect with? Because I was raised to be a ruby pearl. I mean, I was raised to be a ruby emerald, and doing collections for 20 plus years. If you are not a ruby emerald, you will not last. You can't be sapphire, you can't be pearl, otherwise you'll be crying on every call when someone says, oh, you know, my cousin died for the 5th time, or, you know, like, you get all kinds of stories, and some of them real, some of them are, like, you have professional bill-paying avoiders, people who avoid paying bills, so, like, you get sucked up in the sob stories. So I had trained myself to be very ruby and very emerald so that I could survive in that environment for 20 years. And then starting to go to first steps and realize that's not
who you are.
right. So then realizing who I am allows me to connect with people a lot better.
I know that I have a propensity for being the best. But I don't know. It's just,
Well, what does
I've
that
been...
look like? Because a pearl could be the best at helping people. An emerald could be the best at the information that they are able to facts, figures, and numbers. So, like, the best can be defined by each gem differently. So what is the best for you? And the beauty of it is you get to define what that is for you.
That's a conversation much longer than I can take right now. And it has to be a lunchtime thing or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely.
She's cool.
She's the
and
best.
I'm proud.
I'm all right.
Thank you so much for watching the Dani Johnson Show. If this episode or any of our previous GEMS episodes have helped you out in understanding people, or if it's sparked your curiosity in any way, go to danijohnson.com/gems. That is our GEMS Mastery program that is available to you to purchase, so you can learn more and understand more about all the gems in that teaching. However, we sold out of the physical product. So like last week on our last GEMS episode, when we unboxed the product itself, we no longer have the physical copies. So this means you don't have to have a physical product that's taking up space in your house, and you don't have to wait for it to ship out to you. Instead, we are offering instant delivery access straight to your email within, I think, a 24-hour process period after you check out. Much better than having to wait for, like, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 days. So anyways, if you want to learn more, if you want to grasp more about people and understand as much as you possibly can about working with other people and understanding the gems, go to danijohnson.com/gems. Thank you so much.